Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are exploring the work of the Byrds. And we're going to go forward with a Byrds related album. This is Stephen Stills' Manassas. And this is the album Manassas. This featured former Byrd Chris Hillman, who was one of the original members of the Byrds. And this was a sort of supergroup put together by Steve Stills, released on April 12th, 1972, recorded in Miami at the Criteria Sound Studios. It did feature a single, It Doesn't Matter. It reached, the top 100 in the Billboard charts. And there was a big rumor, there's a song on here called The Love Gangster. It was written or co-written with Bill Wyman, who there was a rumor around the time that Bill Wyman was going to leave the Rolling Stones and join Manassas. This was a big comeback for Stephen Stills. Now, a little bit of a background on the album and the group is that Stephen Stills had kind of turned... his second album came out in 1971 after Buffalo Springfield, and... It was recorded after the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young big tour, and they broke up. And he released Stephen Stills 2, and just wasn't well received. And so he met up with Chris Hillman, who was in the Flying Burrito Brothers, and they were kind of, their tours had crossed paths. And the Flying Burrito Brothers were a big mess by that point. Graham was gone. There was a lot of different personnel changes. And they were in trouble financially. So this is where Stephen Stills saw an opportunity. And he got in touch with Chris Hillman. And he, along with Al Perkins, who played with the Burritos, and Byron Berline, and said, let's go to Miami. Let's go to Criteria and let's jam a little bit. And so he also brought along some of the guys from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Dallas Taylor, Calvin Fuzzy Samuels, and Paul Harris, and Joe Lala to play. And so they got in the studio and found that they were really making a pretty good noise. And like any good noise, it gets recorded. And they had filled up a double LP album by the end of the session. And there was a lot of different range on the album. There was folk music, country, Latin, rock songs. Like I said, Bill Wyman came on board for a little bit and jammed. And so it just, it was one of those things that was very organic and came together. And they put this album out, and it reached the top 5 in the record charts. And... just was a really good affair all the way around. Featured as one of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. And widely regarded as one of the great albums of all times. It is a double set, 4 sides of music. The first side is The Raven. And there's Steve Stills there, his silhouette on the album. And that is the label, the Atlantic label. Side 1 is The Raven. The songs kind of segue into one another. Song of Love, there's a medley on there. Jet Set, Anyway, Both of Us, Bound to Lose. The second side is The Wilderness. And then the third side, Consider. And the final side, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay, featuring Blues Man, which was a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, Al Wilson, and Duane Allman. One of the great jams. Manassas probably an early purveyor in what became known as jam rock or jam-based music, and so it holds up quite well. It's a fantastic listen. But Manassas, the group, the album, whatever it is, Stephen Stills, Chris Hillman, today's Byrds-related daily record. Like, comment, subscribe, share, enter the contest. Go to the first video in the series, Mr. Tambourine Man, or go to my main channel to get all the details on the contest, open to anybody and everybody. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. In the meantime, I'll see you all again tomorrow with another daily record.